Hi guys, this is Stoned Edge and the Lite CM5 is finally completed, so I'd like to introduce it to you today and run you through some of its features and show you potentially the internals as well, if we get time for that. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So this is the Lite CM5 handheld. It's powered by an RK3588 SoC, which has a Mali G610 GPU and it's an octa-core processor. So it's a pretty powerful computer. Obviously, you've got a built-in gamepad, so you can play games on it, of course, is the main focus of the device. But of course, you could use it as a desktop PC, depending on the OS that you're running on it. So at the moment, we're running Armbian, but it's also, hopefully, we can get an image working with Android. And also Rocknix is a emulation station based distro that's also working. So I just want to show you around the device quickly. So this is obviously the front of it, 5.5-inch display here, which has capacitive touch built in. So yes, you can use it for touching around on the desktop or playing Nintendo DS or 3DS games. That's really something that I wanted to include this time, so we managed to do that. It's a 720p display, so 720p down this way and 1280 across. It is a native portrait display, so you're rotating it in software to make it landscape, but you won't really notice anything like that in Linux. To be honest, I haven't had any issues with it, even playing some Steam games, etc. But maybe that could cause issues, I'm not entirely sure. So that's the front. On the side of the device here, we can see the side profiles. So we've got dual stack triggers here. The first one being a click. So you can push that anywhere along the pressure of the trigger, and you can hear it's not too clicky. I don't know if you can hear that, but it is a decent click. It's actually using Nintendo Switch buttons, so it's a very similar feel to that. And then the triggers are actually quite interesting on this device. So we've got essentially not analog triggers this time, so we're using a dual tact button. So what that means is we can emulate the range of an analog trigger. So if you're not familiar with analog triggers, you'll know that they generally have an input range. They're not a constant, like a on and off, like a trigger. So what we do is we have a first press, so you can sort of see the first press here. And then after that, there's a click at the bottom. So basically what we can do in games like Super Mario Sunshine is hold down the trigger for a little bit, and that'll allow you to spray water, for example. And then if you want to sort of stop moving and just focusing on a certain spot, you can click the full trigger down. So it's essentially a sort of the first part of the trigger and then the click at the end. So this works really well. Obviously for PlayStation 2 and those older games, Wii, for example, don't use analog triggers, but for GameCube and, racing games, it's not really that useful because you really need that analog linear motion, which you don't get with this. But I think for retro games, it doesn't particularly bother me too much, not having analog triggers. So on the back, we've got our Lite CM5 Tux logo with a cute little game console there on the back, and then obviously the logo. Here you can already see the battery compartment is here, and then we have a fan here with two vents. I think one improvement point probably would be to add a fan vent in here, just to allow better convection of airflow. At the moment, it really only comes through this vent and then comes out the top vent here, but I think ultimately this should probably be left more open so that it can bring in more cool air and then blow it out the top. I think this is probably not too effective, so that's easy to change, and probably we'll test that in the coming sort of phases of prototyping and development. On the top of the device, we have obviously the fan vent, and then inside there is a heatsink. I think the heatsink here is being reused from one of my old projects, so we really need to sort of develop a new heatsink that is probably a little bit of a better fit and makes better contact with the SoC. At the moment, the SoC is using a thermal pad, so probably less, more potential for better cooling on this device, especially with this fan vent, and then also the bigger heatsink, making better contact. We have a headphone jack here, so that will automatically switch, pretty self-explanatory. And then we have volume up and down, and to power on, and a standby button. So yeah, I think I've improved the button feel. I don't know if anyone watched Macho Nacho's review, but yeah, there was some issues with the way we push the buttons, and yeah, these are much nicer feeling buttons than the previous iterations of the Retrolite CM4. You'll see here the cases are slightly warped, unfortunately. It is a PLA based case, so it's actually more or less here. You'll see that yeah, where the heat comes out, PLA obviously I think has a melting point of around 60 or 70 degrees. So once you get to that point, it starts to warp, and yeah, this area does get very hot. So yeah, probably a mistake on my part to use a PLA case, but it doesn't really affect the gameplay in any way. On the bottom of the device, we have a debug LED there at the moment. Yeah, I'll obviously remove that in the final product, but it's just there for testing. And at the moment, yeah, we have a USB-C port. This is a much better USB-C port than the Retrolite CM4, so it will do up to 4K display port, so you can connect it up to an external monitor. It will also do 15 volt, 12 volt, 9 volt, and 5 volt power delivery. So I like to use it with the 12 volt charger. We'll charge it up and play it at the same time. Although, yeah, generally it's a little slower than obviously having the device off. So we also have a HDMI port here, and this will also do 4K video outputs. So you've got potential to have 3 display outputs on this device: one from the screen, one from the USB-C display port, and then the HDMI. So of course, yeah, you probably don't want to use that for gaming, but if you wanted to use it as a work laptop, you know, or a computer, that can certainly help. All right, so that's pretty much the outside. Let's turn it on. So hold this button for about 3 seconds or so, and the device will start to boot. So we're running Ambient at the moment, Ambient desktop. So yeah, it's not running a emulation station, but I could show off Rocknix in a different video. So here it is. Yeah, I've set it up with a pretty cool GNOME extension to run a background. So that's pretty awesome. What else is there to show? So essentially we've got volume control, so you can control the volume with these 2 buttons here. We've also got volume control via the D-pad and holding this hotkey here. So hotkey D-pad left will turn the volume down, D-pad right will turn the volume up. And then if you want to adjust the screen brightness, we can also do that by pushing up and down on the D-pad. The other cool feature that I haven't showed off yet is the gyro. So in order to activate the gyrometer, inbuilt gyro, you'll hold down L3 and then you'll hit this button, and you'll be able to control the mouse with gyros. So you can see moving it up to the top left, top right, etc. Obviously I'm holding this is a bit of a weird angle, so it's a bit hard to control in front of the camera, but yeah, when you have it in front of you, holding it at a certain angle, yeah, it's yeah, much easier to control. And you can also calibrate the gyro, so I'll do that now. You can see the mouse is moving around. If I hold the select hotkey and the plus hotkey, the mouse will stop moving. Now you just turn it over, hold it flat for about 5 seconds. Okay, and now the gyro is calibrated back to what it was before. So just turn it off, you just push those buttons and it's off. So that's the overall feature set, I guess. Obviously it's a handheld, so pretty self-explanatory. Start, select, A, B, X, Y buttons. 2 Hall sticks that I'm using, thanks to the Drew for recommending these. These are K-Silver Hall sticks, and they work really well. Another feature I forgot to mention is the standby. So if I hit this button, just tap it, the system will go into an off mode, standby sleep mode. So now we don't have any ability to interact with the computer, obviously. Tapping it again will bring it back. So now we're back into the into the OS. You can see there I've got a battery indicator, so currently it's 74%. It has about 4 hours remaining. That's relatively still quite young in the cycle of the battery, so that will learn over time. And then yeah, I'm usually, if I want to run games, for example, I'm usually just doing it through RetroPie, so I've installed that already. And now it'll boot you straight into Emulation Station, and you can use it as basically a gaming console. So yeah, I think at the moment, as people know, there's no Vulkan support on this SoC. But with OpenGL, you can still get some extremely good performance out of PlayStation 2 and GameCube. So I usually can run most games at 2x resolution. Sometimes have to drop it down to 1x. But I'll quickly show you just one game. I don't want to make this video too long, so it's already 10 minutes. But I have a ton of different games on here. So at the moment, yeah, I've been enjoying this Capcom fighting game, so start that up. So as you can hear, the speakers get pretty loud, pretty nice speakers, the bottom two stereo speakers, and then also have a headphone jack on the top. So I'll show you quickly the D-pad working. The D-pad needs a little bit of improvement, I think, but overall, yeah, you can pull off some pretty decent fighting moves even with this D-pad. So. And yeah, at the moment, so this game sort of requires 1x resolution at the moment. 2x is, you can play it in 2x resolution, but yeah, the overall, like, it does suffer from some slowdowns with 2x. So as you can see, I can pull off the moves pretty nicely. I'm not very good at fighting games, but alright, so that is the Retrolite CM5 at the moment. As you can see, it's a fully functioning gaming handheld. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. Been about a year of work, to be honest. 12 months of work with my good project partner. Thank you so much, Ivan, for your contribution to this project. I really enjoyed working with you, and I've learned a lot on especially the Linux side of things that I wasn't too familiar with before I started, so you've been amazing. And I really hope that yeah, I really hope that this does succeed and we can get this into people's hands. I'd love people to have a Retrolite CM5. I know people have been asking for an RK3588 handheld for quite some time, so yeah, pretty happy with the end result, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think I've run out of time now, so I'll maybe show you the internals in a later video, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the run through. And if you have any questions, as always, please leave them in the comments. I love to see your feedback, and yeah, I hope you guys are looking forward to it. So thanks very much. Bye.